All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show over here on the Strickland YouTube channel as well as Strickland Podcast Network. I am Sam. I am joined by Jeff, aka Frank Barrett 119, and Schwinny Poo joining
You like
us on
you like
the
my and one shirt that's like 78 years old.
that is a true classic. I actually have some and one gear in the crib myself, so
Uh,
that is like true classic shit.
yeah.
Um, Tyrese is not here to join us. He is doing
Thank God.
paperwork. He's doing paperwork for work tonight. So Schwinn has graced us tonight. Knicks win. It looked like they were going to win handily at first, but the Magic made it interesting. But we won with a score of 115 to 102. Um, Randall leads the way with 25, 12, and what is it? Forces. We have Brunson with 21, 3 and 6. We have RJ with 20 and 6. Some notables off the bench. IQ with 6 rebounds and 8 assists, 7 of those coming in the first half. A majority of them going to one Mr. Cameron Reddish, his arch nemesis on the team. Obi Toppin with 10 points in 14 minutes. Cam Reddish had a pretty solid stint as well. And RJ Barrett started to get things going as of late. Finished with 20 points and hit a couple threes. So, that was very encouraging to see. Where do we want to start?
It's your show. You tell me.
All right. I mean, we can start with let's start with the good, Jalen Brunson. Um, really started to help settle things down towards the end of that game. We were talking before we went live here about, how Randall, it kind of looked like Randall was about to like shit this game away. Um, with with his usual tendencies from before, but having that steady player that is better than him with Brunson, he was able to take control of that and help put the game away. He got I didn't know Brunson took this many risks on defense. I noticed that I don't know if it was just because of the matchup tonight with like Bol handling the ball a lot and he was like really going for steals even though he was in foul trouble. I just found that interesting, but what you guys think of Brunson's
I,
performance tonight?
I think I'm gonna let Schwinn go first on the overall thing. I just want to comment on that last tidbit you just said. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think Brunson gambling is more noticeable because of his height or because of his size. Like someone like Cam gambles a lot,
Yes.
but it's less noticeable because he's just so long that he can just reach into passing lanes and recover easier. Whereas when Jalen gambles, it's harder for him to recover. So yeah, I think that's why that sticks out. But yeah, Schwinn, what did you think?
I mean, I watched like a decent amount of Dallas last year, so I'm not that surprised that Brunson's defense is okay. Like I think his defense has pretty consistently I don't know, like if you compete and you're strong, which he is both, like that's 80% of it, like a lot of this is just being strong and competing. Like if Evan kind of competes, but he has no physicality at all. Absolutely none.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like very palpable. There's a reason why Tibbs closed with IQ today, even though IQ didn't hit a shot. And really didn't do much offensively in the second half. It's because go watch the contests he had on Terrence Ross. Go watch those and then compare that to last year when Terrence Ross had the freedom of the city to run around screens and launch up whatever the hell he wanted. And I think they made a comeback in that game in the first time we lost to them at home in the fourth quarter. And that was a lot. Terrence Ross just making a bunch of shots and Cole Anthony making a bunch of shots. And just the fact that IQ and Brunson, sure, you're giving up size, and against a team like Orlando, they're a big ass team. You could notice it, but like those two compete and they fight. Quickly is a better defender than Brunson, but like again, the fact that Brunson's just willing to fight and he's active and he's feisty and he's strong as hell and he's smart. He's a smart player. Look, I think Tibbs has a lot of stupid shit sometimes, like just BS. But what he said specifically about Brunson, that he said something like his brain is his best tool or attribute or something, right? I think he's 100% right. Like he's a super intelligent player. That's what stands out when you watch him. That's why his shot selection is so good. That's why he's so crafty. That's why he's able to maximize this. He's what third? He was a 32nd pick in the same draft that Mitchell Robinson was, I think.
Mhm.
Like, he's absolutely maximized every single goddamn bit of ability he has. That's because he fights, it's because he's active, he cares, and he's smart as hell. As far as just like, sorry, you asked something else, right? Specifically like takeaway. Oh yeah, the end of game stuff. Like, so we have 2 games now that have actually mattered in the fourth quarter. The opener against Memphis and then this one tonight against Orlando. I feel very confident saying this without looking at any data at all. The quality of shots we're getting in the fourth quarter in those situations is way better than it was last year. Way,
For
way,
sure.
way better. We got a bunch of quality open threes in the fourth tonight, and like that bore out at the end. And then on top of that, you get Brunson's mid-range shot making, which is fucking incredible. He's probably, I don't know, I don't even know how to rank him, but like if you're ranking guys in the league and just mid-range scoring, he's way up there. He is way, way up there. I mean this with like he doesn't have the same peaks, but his mid-range scoring craft is like at times you're like that's like when Kyrie is not insane. Like he has some of that level in him, like where you're just like he can score in this super congested area against guys that have height and length advantages over him because he's just so crafty. He's an absolute master. His footwork is impeccable. He's got amazing touch. His touch is unreal. And I just think like to your like the stuff about Randall, like because Randall overall today, especially offensively, defensively was another weird one for him, but offensively he was really good for most of this game. In the fourth quarter, we saw a lot of some of the 2021, 2022 Randall start to peak out, but like this is why you got Brunson because and these guys know, like you could see it. They know Brunson is the closer. They know Brunson is the guy at the end of the games who needs the rock and is going to dictate the show, right? They know this. You could see it. Randall accepted it. RJ accepts it. All of them accept it. All of them are looking to give it to Brunson and clearing out for him. This is why you got him, because once those possessions started happening, he was like, okay, enough. Like, I'm here. I got this. He hit like a mid-range jumper. Then he hit like I don't know. He hit a couple of just really nice shots. He created a couple open threes for guys. He was just really good down the stretch. And it just like he's not. You can't speed him up. That's probably the biggest compliment I can give him. He's
very poised.
He's super poised. I think that playoff run last year, like that, definitely eased a lot of any concerns I had about him, because all the concerns about him were about the playoffs and like can he match up? And I think like doing what he did, it feels like he has a level of confidence that he didn't have. Like, not that he was an unconfident player. He's always been a confident player. But I feel like now he looks at himself as like, I am a star point guard. Like, I should be an all-star. I think I like that he took it personally. Like, Cole Anthony made a couple shots and he's like, okay, enough. Like, enough. I'm going to make 3 straight jumpers right now in your face and you're not going to do shit. It's nice to have a player that like not only has the mentality, but has the scoring efficiency and ability to back it up.
Yep. Jeff, what you think about Brunson tonight?
Yeah, when Schwinn said this is exactly why he got it, the Knicks got him. He was spot on, and I want
this
to
is
say,
why the Knicks definitely didn't tamper at all. Well, not once to get him.
Not at all. In the season preview I wrote for the Knicks, I wrote about Brunson and I wrote about how he relates to kind of a fallacy in analytics. And he really showcased it tonight, because when you're up against a bad team, the only way you can lose when you're the Knicks were up 10, the only way you can lose is if you just don't score. Like if you just run a really bad offense. And we saw it last year. That's how we lost to the Thunder at home. It's how we lost to the Blazers. It's how we lost to the Nets when the Nets didn't have any of their big 3. The Knicks were just shooting low efficiency shot after low efficiency shot. And for Brunson to be able to, whenever he wants, get a good efficiency shot, even versus a set defense, even at the end of games, that is immensely valuable, even if in a vacuum, a mid range shot isn't the most valuable shot. At that time in the game, you want to reduce the variance and you want to heighten your median outcome. And Brunson is like the ultimate median outcome. He can get a 45% shot whenever he wants.
Yep.
And that is something the Knicks have not had since Carmelo Anthony. That was why Melo was always an underrated scorer. And that's why, by the way, those Nuggets teams and the Knicks before Melo kind of just mailed it in, they always were above their head in terms of Pythag wins versus actual wins. And people would say, oh, those Nuggets teams ran good at the end of games. No. Carmelo Anthony.
Melo was awesome. It's kind of weird. It went away in New York, and I wonder if that was just like because we overplayed him. But like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think there was one year in Denver where he had like 7-game winners. You know, like you're right. Like in Denver, especially. I think it was the year that they went to the Western Conference Finals that year. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He was awesome that year.
Yeah, and so when you have a guy who can get you a similar efficiency look that you can get throughout the whole game, that is better than other teams that can't do that. It's why Dwight Howard-led teams were always below their Pythagorean expectations because their best player could not do that. It's why Dirk Nowitzki, his teams always were above their heads in close games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm repeating myself. But the point is Jalen Brunson, he's not Dirk or Melo, but he's the better. Way he scores, the way he scores and the profile of shots he shoots are similar enough that I feel like the comparison is there. And what he's going to bring to the Knicks, what he brought to the Knicks tonight is just so valuable.
And I think like to kind of give an analogy there, it's like mid-range jumpers aren't like, especially like everything is useful situationally, right? So like being a really good, excellent mid-range scorer is valuable when you're trying to salt away a game. Like if you have a 10-point lead, okay, with 6 minutes left, at that point in time of the game, maximizing like it's not that much more valuable to take like a 3. Like if you're shooting a 37% 3 versus a 45% 2, at that point in the game, I'd rather have the 45% 2 probably. And like, right. And I think like this is like, you know, it's kind of like there's this stupid idea with football where it's like, oh, like, you know, this is how you got it, right? This year in the NFL where it's like you got to this point where teams actually started believing like you don't need to run the ball. Running the ball doesn't matter. Like you can just pass the ball. And it's like, that's the wrong takeaway. The right takeaway is like, you should like, if you're good at running the ball, then run the ball. Like it's not hard. And it's like, and there is value in being good at running the ball because let's say you have like a 10-point lead. Okay, now you're forced. Now you can really salt away a game. Or like now with this year, you're seeing, you know, with defense is playing like too high all the time. If you can't run the ball, you're kind of screwed. And I think that's why offense is so down in the league this year. But like just to bring it back to the basketball, I mean that's what it is. It's like Brunson gives you this thing where it's like, yeah, you probably don't want to be like hammering away at mid-range jumpers for the entirety of the first and second quarter or something. But like, yeah, when you're trying to just just end a game, which is like, you know, it was like a 7-9 point game. It was like in that area where you're like, man, if we miss a couple shots and they just make a 3 here, all of a sudden it gets really tight. Like the fact that it got to 7 and he was like, okay, boom, step back mid-range jumper. Okay, boom, baseline fade mid-range jumper. Like, and those shots, like, I mean, like you said, it's a 45% shot, but it feels like it's a 67% shot or something for him. It's just right. like I was getting annoyed when he was trying to feed Julius on the block. And it's not because Julius actually did have a mismatch, but I'm just like, I don't want anybody else touching the ball right now other than you. Like, unless it's like you setting up somebody for a spot up or Mitch getting a dunk, I don't want anybody else handling the rock right now. But like, I mean, that says something though. Like I haven't felt that way about any Knick in God knows how long. I know people like to talk about Derrick Rose the year that we went, 41-31, right? Like he was really good. But even then at the end of games, I still like, I don't know, this thing with Brunson is like, it just feels, I'm like, I'm just so happy at the end of games. I'm just like, yeah, no, we're good. Just please, Jalen, take the ball and take us home. And like, again, we have 2 games now, competitive games on the stretch, where we have evidence of like not just him scoring well, but him setting up guys and us as a team now creating quality shot opportunities at the end of games. Whereas like last year, it was always a struggle. It was always such a struggle. And some of that is like we can say like I do still put a lot of that on Tibbs, but the fact is like if Tibbs is your coach, this is the type of scorer you need. You need to have a guy like this at the end of games, and now we do, and it's great. Um, Also, the Nets look like they're about to lose to Memphis.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Before we get to comments, I do want to get to another glaring good player of this game, Emmanuel quickly. And I want to pair him up with Obi in this because they come as a package deal basically. Once they come into the game, it's like pure chaos. But let's start with Emmanuel quickly. 8 finished with the night with 8 assists. 7 of them coming in the first half. A good majority of them coming to his arch nemesis, as we all know, is Cameron Reddish, who he hates with every fiber in his being. But yeah, it was just very encouraging to see, Emmanuel quickly keep up with, like, even though he's not gonna score, he still has such a like lasting impact on the game. I tweeted during the game that he was basically, as soon as he came in, he was basically dominating with just like rebounding the ball really well and then finding guys open and getting guys like into transition buckets really quickly. No pun intended. But yeah, I mean, how do we feel about Quickly's performance? I mean, I know we're all pretty like stoked with it, but yeah.
I was extremely happy with his performance. I need him to just like he's got to start pulling on some of these kick out threes that he's getting. It's weird that he just keeps kind of like hesitating and then driving again. And I think like I don't know, he was in a kind of like distributor mode today. So
Yeah, he was like beaming balls like into the stands and
yeah,
shit.
like,
Like,
I generally I'm just not worried about it. Like I think it's important. I'll say this. This is not like to dismiss Derrick Rose or anything. I thought it was very noticeable in this game, especially when that bench unit was in. When Emmanuel quickly was initiating those possessions, they got good shots. When Derrick Rose was initiating possessions, they did not get good shots. It was very noticeable in this game. Derrick Rose has a role in this team. I actually like love his current role in this team where Tibbs is like, yeah, you'll play like 14 minutes. I'm like, is Tibbs okay? Like, is he good, bro?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? But I like this role for him. And I think that it's perfect for him. He's probably going to play more games than he's played in the last few years just because we're not overusing him. And the other big takeaway is that, like, if you still think Derrick Rose is the backup point guard in this team, I'm not sure what you're watching, buddy, because it ain't Derrick Rose. It is Emmanuel quickly. And yeah, like you mentioned, like the Obi thing was weird today. I thought Obi played really well. I get like I'm not going to kill Tips for this. Okay, I'm just not. But like I think he should have let him stick in the fourth quarter for a little bit more. I think he overreacted to Paolo coming back in. I'm willing to give Tibbs again. It's the third game of the season. I'm not going to kill him for this stuff yet. Let's see where we are in 10 games. And to his credit, like Randall actually did have a good game today. So I'm less upset about it. It's not like he pulled Obi for a bad Julius today. But Obi played well. I don't think he needed to come out when he did. And
sure.
if you kind of look at like when the Knicks did take control of the game, it was when
Obi's
Obi and Cam. I thought that unit looked awesome. You could see like, the biggest thing that stood out to me throughout this game, it was just like, who are we playing? Are we just playing against like a team of aliens that are all like 18 feet tall? It was insane. It's like you're playing the Ents or something, right? Like it was just absolutely bonkers. But like that group, so it was like, I think it was RJ, Obi, Mitch.
It was the bench plus RJ instead of Rose.
Yeah. And I think, and that group was just like, and Brunson was in a point in the second half for that group. So it was Brunson, RJ, Cam, Obi, and then Hartenstein. That group, they looked like they were the most physically on par with Orlando, and they blew the game open. They absolutely blew the game open. I thought Cam had a pretty solid outing today. He's still like there's stuff he's got to work on for sure. Like you can still watch him on defense, and he's like he gets stuck on screens, he gets a little bit lost. But you know what's nice about Cam? he can get lost, but if he realizes it quick enough, he's so long that it doesn't matter. Like it just doesn't matter. So I'm very encouraged. I'm probably like more encouraged by this game weirdly than I was the season opener against Memphis because I thought he contributed well without having some outlier
Having to be the
scoring.
guy.
Yeah, he just played well in his role.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's what you want from him.
Yeah, and I loved that take he had to the rim. I thought that was awesome. He just went through, Jeff, we talked about this when you were on the pod last week, but like he took that contact. He accepted the contact. He went through it. I love that. I thought that was a great take. And I'm just happy that Emmanuel quickly was able to get over his unending, never dying, raging hatred for Cam Reddish today and dimed him up 3 times. That was really, really big of him. Really shows a lot of growth as a human being in person.
Yeah, I thought quickly was really good outside of the putting the ball in the basket part of it. He does so much moving when Brunson's the one in the game that you just really have to pay attention to. Like it's almost like Obi. It's like he sees what Obi does when he has the ball and how Obi tries to get himself involved. And quickly he's like, okay, when I'm not dominating the ball, I have to do that, And like he's always setting like go screens, rub screens. He's always running from A to B. He's just
wait for Brunson to like. They're still not on the same page. Just wait for that. Just wait for that. That group is going to be. They're going to be fun, man. Like you can already tell. You know what I mean? Like you can just see it. And like, look, I kind of shit on Tibbs for the Obi thing, but like, I think I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, Jeff. But like, I think he deserves a ton of credit for closing out with quickly in the second in that fourth quarter.
Oh, absolutely. And he I don't know if you guys noticed this, but he did 2 different things in the 2 halves again, which he never did the last 2 seasons. So
they're going to trade Evan, bro.
I think I got to be honest. First of all, I think that's possible.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it earlier. I think Rose might become situational when Grimes comes back. I think that like the trust they're showing in quickly, I think they're going to go quickly Grimes, Cam, Obi, Hartenstein as the bench unit. And I think they're going to say to Rose, look, man, how often are these 10 guys all going to be healthy? You're the 11th man any game, but in between those games, rest. We know you can stay ready. I think that's going to be what happens.
I wonder,
that'd be fire.
It would be fire. And I actually, to that, that's actually a pretty good point. I wonder if it's like a thing where they're like, look, you're going to be situational, but also like we will guarantee, like we're going to pick up your option for next year. Kind of like a quid pro quo, right? To quote Hannibal Lecter.
I'll say this though, if that happens, they need to start Grimes because
for sure.
Because for 2 reasons. Obviously, we know the pros that it gives the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree on quickly. We all love quickly, but where the detractors do have a point is when it's quickly with 4 guys who aren't capable of initiating, he can over dribble. And quickly plus Grimes plus Cam plus Obi plus Hartenstein would turn into the Emmanuel Quickly show. Mm-hmm. Fournier as an initiator would bring huge amounts of value to that second unit. And we would be maximizing Fournier's skill set in a way the starting lineup does not do it. So if Derrick Rose isn't going to be next to Emmanuel Quickly, because that's where Rose is huge right now, right? Like Emmanuel Quickly, he has a couple tough possessions. Rose says, okay, I'll take this one, and Rose is fine every couple of possessions to do that still. He can still do that. That would be what Fournier could do. So if that happens, I really think it's just Grimes has to start or Quickly. But yeah, Grimes has to start.
All right, let's get to some comments because we do got quite a few rolling in.
I'm sorry. I just want to finish my thought real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing I was about the substitution pattern. So in the first half, he did RJ plus the bench.
I loved that. Oh my God. Those minutes were so fun.
Right. So he pulled RJ and Mitch early, and then he reinserted RJ to start the second, and it was RJ plus the bench. In the second half, he pulled Randall and Mitch early. and then it was IQ, and at one point in the fourth, it ended up being first it was Obi with Brunson, so that got Obi and Brunson some minutes together, and then in the fourth, it ended up being IQ Cam Fournier, Randall, and Brunson. So it was just two almost different rotations, which is something you never see from Tibbs. I'm always going to sort of be hard on Tibbs for his hockey shifts, but I've loved all the different lineup combinations he's thrown out there. He's really just like, okay, I'm going to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Like that's the
Finally.
finally. That's the vibe I've gotten the first 3 games, and I've really, really been a fan of it.
Let's see if it holds up though, because you know how things get when Thibs' boat gets rocked. He starts going back to his old ways. So,
but if he starts sticking with lineups now, at least hopefully it's because he's like, okay, I've gotten a sample. I think I have a feel for what my best lineups are. That was what we hated last year. He was sticking with lineups without even trying other stuff and be like, I know what's good, but he didn't know what was good because he wasn't willing to try anything new. So, and the lineups he was sticking with weren't performing well. It just made no sense. And this year, if in 10, 20 games, the lineup combinations start to lessen, I'll at least have more trust that he's like, okay, I've gotten a feel for what works best. I'm going to go with that now more.
Totally agree. And I'm glad that he's trying new shit. I mean, I mentioned last game that I like to see the Brunson IQ staggered with the starters as well with the bench. So, it's encouraging to see that he's trying new things. We'll see if it holds up. Crossing our fingers, all of us, because, that means good things for this team because, all these different lineups are only, better for the players on this team, especially the young guys, because it gives them more opportunities to see what we have in them going forward, especially with the guys that have contracts coming up. Let's get to some comments now. Ace Bouchard says, are we allowed to speak honestly about Randall now that Tyrese isn't here?
I gotta be honest. Like, I'm of the opinion here that it's like with Randall, it's got to be. I need this. 2 months. 2 months. I need to see for 2 months. Until then, I'm just like, this is all. I'm fine. Like, I'm happy that he's playing well, but I'm not commenting good or bad on Julius as much as possible.
Same.
For 2 months. Give me 2 months.
I'm going a little bit longer than Schwinn. I'm going a little bit longer than 2 months because everyone knows I hate this guy. So, but yeah, I'm going a little bit longer than 2 months.
That's so strong.
The beginning of last year tricked me way too hard. Like, I got to see a little bit more. But he had an okay night tonight, led the team in scoring. I didn't like some of the shots that he took just because they're bad shots. And if he sees them go in, I think that it's going to like continue this bad habit of, oh, I made it before, I can do it again, which was the whole story of the 2020-21 season.
I mean, the big thing for me, and this is why, like, I'll just say I think he's played fairly pretty good. Today was obviously the best game he had the entire season to me. But like, Jeff, we talked about this when you came on the pod. I like the physicality he's playing with. I feel like he's playing with a good edge. It's not like the edge he had last year was just like some self-destructive nonsense. I don't know what was going on with him. But the edge he's played with, especially in particular the Memphis game and this game, is like very, very impressive to me. And it's like a necessary physicality. And sometimes like he commits stupid fouls on Paolo for no reason, but I don't mind it because it's coming from the right place, right? You can see that. You can see, I like that you can visibly see him trying, like understanding when I'm going to the rim, Mitch is going to be in the dunker spot and trying to feed him the ball. Those are things that I haven't seen from Julius the last few years. I think he's making an actual effort to do that. I liked seeing, there was a play today, he messed something up and he like went over to Mitch and was like, my bad, or something like that. And I just like those are the small, tiny things that you're like, I'm like, 2 months, give me that for 2 months and I'm on board. But like, I need to see that for 2 months. Cause right now, look, nothing has happened. Like they're not facing any adversity. They haven't had a losing streak. They haven't been through some horrific loss. They haven't had a collapse. Like there's not
everything. The vibes are good.
Yeah, the vibes are good right now. And and that's great. It would be great if we never faced any adversity ever. That would be fantastic. But that's not realistic. That's going to happen at some point. I want to see how he reacts. But you have to be encouraged by the offensive play. He actually had a really good moment today at the end of the first half where he called out a set to get RJ going downhill on a couple of staggers. He missed.
I was literally about to say that.
Yeah.
No,
RJ,
keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, RJ missed the dunk, but like Randall called that out for RJ. I think he saw RJ was struggling. He wanted to get him a shot. And I liked that's a great moment from him. That's the type of leadership that you were like, what happened to you last year, man?
Where was that last year?
Where was that last year?
The circumstances of that exact possession you're talking about, you're actually selling it short. RJ was 1 for 9, and Brunson had just left with his third foul. That was Randall's team at that moment. It would have been very justifiable based on how he played in the first half for him to say, okay, this is my half, the rest of the half. Back-to-back possessions. The first one, he got it to RJ. RJ turned it over. They go back. They get a stop. Next time down, quickly runs to take a handoff, and Randall waves him away, and that's the set you're talking about. It was actually after he had already gotten him the ball. Randall said, RJ, I'm feeding you. I still believe in you. You're my guy. That's what he was doing. I love that. That was probably my favorite, intangible moment of the game from Randall, of the season from Randall, because a guy like RJ a guy like RJ needs that. He's 22 years old, and who knows? I mean, they say all the right things, but who knows what their chemistry's been like in 3 years in the Knicks. To have Randall be like, dude, you're 1 for 9. Who cares? Keep shooting. Like, we believe in you is huge. I love that. That was a really good call by Yushwin.
Yeah. It was just those are the things that it just, again, that's what you exactly. That's the type of small thing. That's the thing that I can deal with you shooting like crap. I can deal with that stuff if you're giving me those type of small moments, if you're putting in the effort. I don't think he played well defensively today, but I don't think there was one really atrocious one in transition where he just decided not to get in front of Paolo for some reason. But overall, I didn't watch his defensive performance today and think oh, he's not competing. No, he was competing. The technique, the execution wasn't always there, but he was competing. But God, man, I really wish he could box out at all. That would be fantastic. I
swear to God, I was gonna say, God, man, we share a brain sometimes. if Breen says how he's one of the league's best defensive rebounder one more time, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. He gets blown by for every box out of his. It's insane. He never gets a high leverage rebound ever.
He lets Mitch do all the dirty work, and then he swoops in and gets that rebound.
It's insane.
I think Breen was a little look. You got to give Breen a pass. He was a little too starstruck by Bol today. So
you did love him.
Yeah, it was crazy how much
he loves freakishly tall black dudes. He was freaking out over Taco, and now he's freaking out over Bol. Brian, is there something you want to tell us, dog?
Maybe, but yeah, no, this is an encouraging performance. And again, the best part of this, let's be honest. RJ had a terrible first half, awful first half, all around. Bad processes, bad shot selection, bad finishing, execution, whatever you want to call it. He's forcing it, and it's I'm so happy he made 3 threes in the second half, because it really felt like he's I feel like he's playing like he has to justify his contract. Like if he doesn't play well, if he doesn't make the next shot, the contract, everybody, it's dude, just play. And
it's he's worried about what Twitter's gonna say about his contract.
Just make good decisions. When he is I thought who's the assistant they talked to at halftime? I forget who it was.
Yeah, I can picture him. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, whatever. It was one of Tibbs's guys, one of the older dudes. But he was Andy Greer. That's who it was. Yeah. But they asked him, I think Rebecca asked him something oh, how can you get RJ Barrett going? And his response is exactly what I've been saying forever about RJ. He was when he gets into the paint, he's got to spray it out. It's not just try to make layups. when you're collapsing a defense, especially on a team with this much size, right? They're going to be blocking your shots. They are going to be at the rim, and they're not disciplined though. This is the thing. So if you drive and kick and drive and kick and drive and kick, you're eventually going to get a great shot against this team. Doesn't matter how long they are, doesn't matter how athletic they are. They are young, they are dumb, and they are not a good defensive team. Because most young teams are not good defensive teams. And so like that's what was so frustrating watching that first half. Because I'm like, dude, it doesn't stop trying to like shoot your way out of this slump. Stop trying to do that. Just make the right play. And I think in the second half, he did a better job of it. He was definitely not forcing it as much. He still had a couple drives or whatever, but like in general, he played better in the second half. But like, he cannot have one of these months. Like we can't do one of these months at the start of the year again where he's just like a complete basket case where he gets together. Like no, like this second half needs to be like the platform for okay.
Next game, just, what you have to do.
Yeah, just I don't need like, and this is the beauty of this team. Like, they don't need him like
to drop 30 like the end of last year.
Yeah, they don't need him. Like none of these guys, not a single one, not Randall, not Brunson, not RJ, not Quickly, not Rose, not Cam, not anybody. None of them has to score 25 a night.
Nope.
Like it can.
That was the beauty of the Detroit Pistons win, is that strength in numbers basically.
Yeah, like this is your team is deep. Use the depth, dude. Trust your teammates. Make the right plays. Look, I believe in it.
That was what Quickly did tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Like he didn't have it going.
He took 4 shots.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. Well, I think he took 5, but one of them was like the end of quarter heave, so it's like whatever. But yeah, like it's exactly what it is. It's like it doesn't need. Again, if he's good enough, every night will be his night. He just doesn't need to actively search it out. We don't need him to actively search it out and initiate and try it. Like, no, we don't need that, dude. Just play,
play free basketball.
Yeah, and like I guess like what like again to quote Tibbs, the genius coach that I've always loved, just like the game tells you what to do. Like he's right. Like the game was telling him today, like, hey, dude, maybe you don't got it going. It's okay. Relax. Like, just trust your teammates. Randall's got it going. Brunson's got it going. Like, you got a dominant lob monster inside in Mitch, who I thought had a really solid game, by the way, kind of like anchoring that defense. Just stay down on your feet when Wendell Carter Jr. pump fakes. Like, it's fine.
You know what he's going to do. You know what he's going to do.
Yeah. But
you're bigger than him.
Yeah. But that's 2 solid games in a row from Mitch. He looks really physically, pretty close to as good as he's ever looked. Really spry. And I mean, also shout out to Hartenstein, who I thought, aside from that insane outlet pass that he threw in the fourth quarter, I thought had a really solid game.
Mitch had one sequence in the first half where like Wendell Carter Jr. did everything he could to get by Mitch, and Mitch just slid with him perfectly. And then he threw a pass to Bol, and he just slid over and blocked Bol. It was the most impressive like defensive sequence of the season. It was so good. Mitch was so good on both ends tonight. He's just an absolute beast.
For sure. Let's get some more comments. This is a good one. What do you think the plan is for Obi on this team? He played well tonight and still only playing 14 minutes. IQ's minutes were also odd in that he didn't play for the entire third quarter. Yeah, that third quarter, it kind of concerned me, and then he ended up closing the game. So, like, they kind of mitigated that concern for me. The Obi stuff is always going to be annoying for me because dude just played his ass off for those 14 minutes and still wasn't able to, get some burn there. But what do you guys think about what do you think the plan is for Obi?
I don't think they have a plan.
I think their plan.
Fair.
I think their plan is hope Tibbs plays him more this year, and it's a mixed bag. The thing is, it comes down to Tibbs. Just like he has to come to the same realization that he's had with Quickly that he has with Obi. He has to come to the same realization with Obi that he has done with Quickly, where it's like, I can trust him playing against other team starters. It's not a big deal. Like,
yes.
it's fine. That's it. That's the only thing he needs to do, and that would automatically almost guarantee him 18 to 20 minutes. Is that enough? Maybe not. But I'll also say, like, I think I'm guilty of this. We're all guilty of this. Sometimes, like, you're so in it as a fan that, like, these everything seems like it's the worst, and other teams are doing it better. But, like, I mean, I think there's something to be said of, like, Tibbs. Obi has done a good job of developing under Tibbs. That doesn't mean that everything Tibbs does is great and wonderful, but then if you look at, like, some of the guys drafted around him in that class, like, I'm looking at Patrick Williams tonight. 15 minutes. He started the game 15 minutes, 2 of 7. Like, that kid is completely lost.
He reeks.
He's terrible. Killian Hayes, awful. I mean, that entire, like, Onyeka Okongwu, right? Like, good player. He barely plays. He's got the same issue that Obi does. Like, I just think, like, I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just saying, like, I think stuff like this happens a lot around the league.
Happens more often than we think.
Yeah, and it's just like, we're Knicks fans, so this matters to us more than whatever the hell is going on in Atlanta or Chicago or whatever. But, like, I'm not at the point yet where I'm going to jump, I'm not going to jump off the roof about this. Like, I think Tibbs he's made an effort so far through 3 games in preseason to actually get the Knicks playing faster. He's effectively bumped quickly up in the rotation ahead of Derrick Rose, which I know is, like, that is probably the hardest thing he's ever had to do in his entire life. And like, I just think that he's even like Jeff talked about this. His rotations haven't been the same in each half. He's, like, actually tried new things. So I'm defending Coach Tibbs. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt so far through 3 games. I'm willing to see what he does with Obi. I agree with what Christopher said here that, like, it doesn't really make sense that he only played 14 minutes tonight, but I am okay with that. And also, like, I think IQ's minutes were odd because he already knew he was closing the entire fourth quarter with him.
Okay.
And that's why I didn't blame him.
That makes sense.
That's what I think.
That makes sense. Still got to be cautious with Tibbs because, he can rear his ugly head at any moment.
And I think we're going to be annoyed at this. Especially if Jeff is right that Grimes is going to come in for Rose, we're going to be really annoyed because Evan is going to be like the Alfred Payton start stuff. Like, not because he's not going to be anywhere near as destructive, by the way. But, like, I think he wants to play quickly more than Evan. And I think he's, like, kind of coming around on Cam. Like, I was surprised how much Cam was the first guy off the bench in the second half. Yep. I was surprised by that, and I was surprised. I think he's had
and he was the last guy out in the first half.
Yeah, exactly. I think he wants to see Cam a little bit with that starting group, and he's made an effort to do that, and he wants to see quickly that starting group, and he's made an effort to do that. And this is like let's be honest, man. This is a level of experimentation from Tibbs that, like, it constitutes genuine growth as a coach, and especially for him, what is he, 64 years old? Like, to maybe turn over a new leaf here, like
maybe it's the dementia.
Yeah, maybe. But whatever is causing it, look, that it speaks well on him, and he deserves credit for it.
Yeah, he definitely does. He even had a cool quote that they showed during the game today, where he was like, I watched all the other teams in the offseason, and I was like, we have to grow. Like, here are the areas we have to grow, and, like, you can't doubt the guy's commitment. You can.
I mean, the thing is, I know he watched. That's the thing is, like, I buy that he watched every other team in the NBA this offseason.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, he doesn't have anything else.
No, he does not.
This is a man who literally did not get married because
of basketball.
He wanted to commit to basketball.
He's married to basketball.
All right. Don't want to get too far in the show without doing the ad read. So, NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back. So tip off the season with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can make any $5 moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Check this out. In addition to the usual bets, everyone can boost their winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place a stepped up same game parlay today. With payouts bigger than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is where I go to bet on the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Make any $5 bet this week and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code TBPN as you see in the corner right there. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes or show description for details. All right, let's get back. What happened, Jeff?
Do you have any bets tonight, Sam? What we got?
Do I have anything that I placed tonight?
Yeah.
So I placed tonight. Let me see if my phone will load some things up.
I've got Simon's. I was big on Tatum's points, rebounds, and assists tonight. That was pretty nice.
I have still not placed my first NBA wager yet this season. Well, I guess I did, but it was a live bet, so it's different.
No, that still counts.
No, but it's like it's different because it's like I don't like betting NBA first week like games because I just think it's really weird. Like it's like the Jazz are not gonna. They're not good. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like they're not good. Okay, they're not. They're just not going to be good. I don't care. Like they're 3-1. They lost to Houston today. Finally. Like it's just stuff like that where I'm like, okay. Like and for example, Minnesota looks terrible right now. I still feel pretty confident they're going to end up being a really good team. But like, I do think some of the stuff that's going on with them, I'm like, you guys, I don't know. Like, are we? What's happening here? Or I just think it's more about like I think it exposes some concerns about like what their ultimate ceiling really is with this group, and less about are they going to even be a good regular season team? I'm pretty sure they'll still be a good.
When their most important player comes out and says,
I like the smaller lineups.
I operate better under circumstances that won't exist. That's not good. That's not good.
Dude, Ben Simmons is trash, by the way. This man is so bad.
All right, let's get back to some. I will say my one bet that did come close to cashing was I made the same game parlay for the Pacers and Sixers game. I had Jalen Smith over threes, 8 rebounds from him as well. Tyrese Halliburton 8 assists, James Harden 10 assists. I had Mathurin for 3 threes and 25 points because he's been on a tear. Of course, tonight was the night that he had a little bit of a dud. Those were the only 2 legs that didn't cash. I also had Embiid for 25 and Tyrese for 2 threes. The Benedict lines were the only 2 that didn't go through. Of course, tonight was the night that he had a dud.
You hate to see it.
You do. You really do. But I've been hitting pretty well, off some people that I tailed. Yesterday I got Nick Richards double, plus 1,400. So, that's pretty good.
That's
I think this is something that is notable. So I just want to bring this up. This is a tweet from Steve Jones Jr. at Steve Jones 20. He said, "So the Magic went zone and the Knicks responded with checks notes. Great ball movement." I think that was very, very noticeable. Like, and this is noticeable because we have talked about this for the last 2 years. Every time the Knicks faced a team that went zone, they were like, "Oh my god,
they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, what do we do? Oh my god, like this is crazy." And today, when Orlando went zone, they knew what to do, and they moved the ball. They got to the nail. They got guys at the free throw line, which is exactly what you want to do. It was great. It was really, really good to see. And again, like, Jeff, you just mentioned that quote from Tibbs during the game. Like, he is showing like we're seeing real signs of adaptation. I thought it was interesting. There was that thing. I don't remember who it was. Maybe Rebecca was talking about it. About like they asked Johnny Bryan what they did to like speed to be more comfortable operating at pace. And he was talking about how they like put in a clock so that to get the ball across half court or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I kind of wonder if Tibbs is like letting Johnny Bryan
coach,
not coach, but obviously he's always been coaching, But like, I wonder if he's like allowing him to have more active input in like the actual operations of the team right now.
New leak by the end of the season. Johnny Bryant was actually coaching the Knicks this whole time this
Hey,
year.
if Tibbs,
Okay,
if Tibbs
so
is the CEO and he lets him do that, that's all that matters. I don't care. That's good with me.
I'm about to ask you guys a question that displays some of my ignorance here. So, when everybody wanted Tibbs fired, everyone was like, "Oh, free Johnny Bryant, yada yada." What evidence do we have that Johnny Bryant is like can coach? Why do we think that? I'm not like
It
saying he
was
can't. I'm just curious what
I
people are
I
basing that
think it
off
was
of.
I think more so it was like they want people want to see a new face, a new opportunity, get a chance,
Okay,
because
cool.
we've seen like other young assistants or like fresh assistants get gigs and be like pretty good off the bat. So the assumption would be
Yeah,
like, Johnny Bryant's he's he's been around, and he's earned his way so far. So
he coached
it would
under
be fun.
he was an assistant for Snyder, right, in
Yes.
Utah. So
Yes.
that's something.
Yeah,
Snyder's
so
really
like a
good.
lot of people were like, you know what? Let's see what this young guy can bring. He's trained with guys like Damian Lillard and Donovan Mitchell, so let's see what the guy can do.
Um,
Cool.
the Johnny Bryant thing for me is like he's been a well-regarded assistant for a while. He was a finalist for the Utah job this offseason.
Hmm.
So he's like not it's not like just some guy that like you're like, well, he's young and he's our assistant coach, so therefore you like we'll give. No, it's like a guy that like people around the NBA talk pretty
Highly of.
positively about. I think he's interviewed for a few jobs. The Knicks made him the highest paid, I think, associate head coach in the league when they got him from Utah. So like, I mean, presumably they must think highly of him.
Yeah.
And he's obviously done. I think he's done really good development work with like a variety of our young players. He's obviously Damian Lillard's worked with him. He's credited him before. Donovan Mitchell, all these guys. So like he's got pedigree, and I think yeah, I mean it's interesting anyway. So yeah, that was my reasoning anyway. But like, hey, look, we were a lot of us anyway, most of us, a lot of us were very critical of the Knicks keeping Tibbs because we didn't believe he would adapt or
Mhm.
change and take things on. He has done that, and I think based on if he keeps this up this year, then I think not only do you credit Tibbs, you also have to credit Leon Rose for
Trusting and believing in
yeah,
him.
trusting in him. Yeah.
True. All
I
right.
agree entirely.
All right, let's get to some more comments before we shut down shop. Um, let's see. All right, this is the one that talks about the game ahead, I guess. Is it a trap game against Charlotte? Also for the Hawks, you gave up multiple first round picks for Murray just to lose against Charlotte without starters. That was a very interesting game. I mean, Dennis Smith Jr., Kelly Oubre, and Nick Richards put away the Hawks. I don't know if it's a trap game. Maybe. I mean, so far this Knicks team, it looks like they take care of business against opponents they should. I thought this Magic game would have been a trap game, and it kind of did for a little bit until Jalen Brunson like took control of things. But I expect the Knicks to take care of business against Charlotte. What do you guys feel about the Charlotte game?
I think they'll win. I think this is a bad matchup for Charlotte. Like they have no size inside. We're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league, if not the best. And
It's like Dennis Smith Jr. versus Jalen Brunson. Good luck.
yeah, I just think this is a bad matchup for them. We have a level of physicality that the thing is like this team it has physicality, but like that they're also pretty fast. And that's weird because it's not like the most athletic team in the league or anything, but like that bench group especially, they get out. Like they get out and run. Anyway, I just think this is a bad matchup for Charlotte. I think we'll hammer them. And this team so far, again, early, seems like they know they have to take care. Like I think it feels like they know these are the type of games they have to take care of business in, because if you want to make the playoffs, you got to bank you got to bank wins. Like it's super early in the season, so nobody should be looking at standings. But like, for just as an example, right? Miami's 1-3 now, I think. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have a chance to get to 3-1. Like again, it's super early. You shouldn't be like looking at the standings, but you want to bank wins early so that you're not playing catch up, especially in this Eastern Conference, man. This Eastern Conference is brutal. If you get yourself into a hole, it is going to be hard to dig yourself out. I'm telling, like, it is going to be hard. Like Philly's 1-3 right now. You know, I think they're still going to be like end up making a top 4 seed, home court in the East. But like, you don't want to be. The Knicks don't have a superstar. Okay, they don't have a superstar. So for them, it's important. It's like I'm going to use another football analogy. It's like a team that has to stay on schedule because they don't have Patrick Mahomes to bail them out on like 3rd and 15 or something. Like, you need to stay ahead of schedule. You need to get 5 yards on first down, 3 yards on second down, so your third down is manageable. Like, the Knicks have to bank wins against teams that they should beat. And especially if you look at the schedule, because after the Charlotte game, it is brutal. It is an absolute gauntlet. And you have to bank these wins. You have to bank these wins.
If this was last season, even with the same roster, I actually would say it's more of a trap game, but I'm going to get a little cocky here. Even if Steve Clifford is a better coach than Borrego, which he might be, I obviously don't know for sure, he's also a Tibbs-like clone. So we are going to see, I assume, very little PJ Washington at the 5, which is exactly what murdered us when we played Charlotte last year. There's multiple stretches where they just said, okay, Mason Plumlee, you're out of the game. Washington, you're our center. And him and Miles Bridges just went nuts because Tibbs wouldn't match him. He wouldn't counter with Obi and Randall. He was just like, all right, Mitch, good luck. And Mitch didn't know what to do. What was our worst stretches of the game tonight? What was our biggest weakness of the game tonight? It was when Wendell Carter Jr. actually popped out to the 3. How many wide open 3s did he get? Like, I don't get why they didn't use him more in that action because he was getting wide open 3s whenever he wanted. But the Magic didn't stick with that. So if you told me that PJ Washington was going to get serious run at the 5, I could believe that the Hornets would get really hot from 3, but I think we're going to take care of business Wednesday.
So far, they've been really, at least from what I saw, because I was paying attention to the game yesterday because I had money relying on it. But they went with like Nick Richards and Mason Plumlee. It was either or of them at the 5. So you're not going to see much of PJ Washington at the 5.
You bet Charlotte to win or to cover?
I bet Nick Richards to get a double-double.
That's so. You need help. You have a problem. You might have a problem.
I won. So
yeah, but that's the most disgusting bet I think I've heard in a long time. Nick Richards double. That's crazy.
God, I gotta now reach into the memory bank for my all-time most disgusting bet. There's got to be something crazy. I bet this like fucking one of those like shitty PGA tournaments that they do, like that aren't even like televised in like Australia or something. This is like way back. This is like 6-7 years ago. So I'm like sitting in my apartment at 3 a.m, desperately trying to find some stream. Like I'm just like I found some stream in like I think it was in like fucking Russian or something. Could barely make anything out. It was not even worth it because like I couldn't even see what the hell was going on. It's like I don't understand what the characters on the screen because they're not English characters. So I literally just had no idea what I was watching, and I'm just like I was just getting super angry and without actually even like knowing. And then of course I lost my bet. So yeah, I think I had like Adam Scott or something to win or something, and he just did not win. All right, this isn't going to be a regular segment of our post game, but 3-minute quick gambling story from me right here. So in Vegas for the World Series, I was there with my friends, met out with another friend of mine and 2 of his friends for Game 6 of the 2016 NBA Finals, Warriors Cavs, the year LeBron and Kyrie came back from 3-1 down. So Game 6 is at Cleveland. Me and my 2 close friends put $100 each on Cavs money line that night. So we're at like Buffalo Wild Wings with another one of my friends and his 2 friends. And
you went to B-Dubs in Vegas, by the way?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Why? Is that no good?
They're just watch it at the sports book. I don't know.
Oh, but like I'm there. We weren't trying to
Yeah.
we wanted to eat,
Yeah.
Anyways, so we're just like going nuts. That I don't know if you remember that game, but the Cavs went up like
Yeah.
30-5 to start the game. They went absolutely nuts. And one of my buddy's friends just is sitting there silently the whole time. Like we're trying to like make small talk in between, and we're just like whatever. So he finally at halftime goes to the bathroom. The Cavs are up like 15 or whatever. And my friend is like, to my other friend is like, what's that guy's deal? Is he okay? Like, why is he so quiet? And my friend just goes, yeah, he's just got like 50K on the Warriors to win the series. So,
oh my God.
And we were just sitting there like, we were just sitting there like sweating $100 and we just felt like the biggest jerks ever.
Dude, that's a terrible beat. That's a terrible beat you got. Oh my God, that'd be awful. This one from Virgil X.
I guess we're being a little too positive on tonight's stream.
Can you break up the overall positiveness with things that might be problems or the big worries from this game? I mean, the big worries for me, like if we're gonna talk about individual player stuff, I need to see more from RJ. I need to see more progression as a decision maker. The shot making and stuff, like
it's gonna come. It's gonna come.
That's not a big concern. Like he can't control it. I mean, yeah, you can control it, but like he's either gonna make or miss shots. That's fine. To me, you can't let bad shooting nights impact your decision making overall. And
everything else part of your game too.
Yeah. Like
defense, all that other shit. Like
so that's a concern for me. I am also like, with Tibbs. Obviously, the Obi thing is something we need to keep track of. I'm just concerned about Evan in general. He looks even slower than he did last year.
Yeah.
And like it just seems like very blindingly obvious to me that he is the piece in that starting lineup that is the most problematic as things stand. Just doesn't help them really in any way. I don't think the floor spacing that he brings actually matters that much. So that would be a concern. Obviously, I'm still concerned about Julius. I'm happy that he's made a good start to the season, but I'm concerned and just want to make sure that he holds that up. And I will say this, I was concerned about Hartenstein a bit. I have really been impressed with him the last couple of games, especially since, even the Memphis game, he really bounced back strong in the second half, I thought. Biggest thing to note, though, for him, I feel like he's been boxing out, actually, the last couple of games on the defensive glass, and I'm happy about that because that was an issue that he's had in his career. It was an issue during preseason. It's an issue last year with the Clippers. So if that's a real thing, if that's an actual, maybe that's a thing the coaches have been harping on with him. If that's true, if that happens, like, man, I'm just, it's hard not to be excited about this team because it's like, I still don't think we've played a great, complete team game yet. I just don't think we have. But like, you have legitimately 10 guys right now, 11 when Grimes is back, that are all some level of rotation player in the NBA at minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Evan Fournier is our worst rotation player or something like that, or Derrick Rose,
pretty good.
Yeah, or Derrick Rose, like you're in a pretty good place. So, and again, I think the other part of this too is like, it would be different if Brunson was like 31 and Hartenstein was 29. The fact that those guys are young, like this is a young team. Like you look at the rotation today, there's only 2 guys that get minutes that are above 30. And only one that's 27 or older. That's it. A third that's 27 or older, which is Julius.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of this team is like 26 or younger. This is a young team. It's fun. There's upside here. There's talent here. I know that we don't have a superstar or whatever that anybody craves, but like, I just think this is a fun team. I'm going to enjoy it. It's simmering. They got something cooking. If Randall's actually bought in and is turned over a new leaf, all the better. And again, the fact that Tibbs seems to have shown some modicum of adaptation is highly encouraging.
Yeah, if you want negativity, just watch any of me and Sam's post games from last year. Like, just watch those.
Yes.
Like,
go rewatch all of those, please.
Let us have an hour of happiness. No,
yes,
but
yes. Let us enjoy these wins before it turns into the depression stream.
Yeah, this schedule is about to get rough, so
Yeah, if you want negativity, then
I'll say Fournier is I'm worried what happens. When Grimes comes back, because I just
Same.
don't think it can. The answer can be Cam at this point. I
Cam
mean,
out of the rotation, you mean?
correct.
Yeah.
I don't think that can be the answer for this team.
And I'm
What are
someone
we?
who's been an avid Cam disliker for years on end now, and I agree with you, Jeff.
I mean, I think you have to make Cam prove to you that he doesn't belong in the rotation, and just say, okay, Fournier, we're going to give Cam this shot. We'll look to trade you. If we can't trade you, then you just stay ready, as Tibbs always says. Like, the rules should apply to everyone. You know, like he says that to guys all the time. He's saying it to Deuce right now. Stay ready. You know, if the Knicks decide it's for their betterment to play a younger guy who's playing really well, because for obvious reasons, it shouldn't be beneath Fournier, no matter what we're paying him, to do the same. So I'm just worried about that situation in general. That little stretch from Randall in the fourth quarter did scare me a little bit. Like, I'm glad we have Brunson, but just a little bit on watch for that. But I mean, Randall's been really good through 3 games, so I'm not like turning against him, obviously. I'm just saying that was that gave me the heebie-jeebies.
I'm here to turn against him.
Yeah,
I'm here
you
for
got that.
I'm here for that.
And then just RJ in general, like, we all want him to make a leap, and he needs to get better, keep getting better at stuff, specifically his scoring from the mid-range. Like, at what point does he just have bad touch? You know, like, and that's not able to improve. That's kind of scary to me. I do think he will be helped by Grime. Like, it's obvious that when he's not the only defender, when he was playing with Quickly, those are his best minutes. Whereas when he's playing with Fournier and Brunson and RJ has to carry the full defensive load, that hurts him. So I think RJ will see an improvement playing with Grimes if and when that happens. So yeah, I guess there's a couple worried things.
As for me, what I'm worried about always with me is sustainability. Can they sustain this? Is it sustainable? Something can look sustainable, but will it be actually sustainable? Last year, I think we all agreed, like, the beginning of last year wasn't something that was like too crazy to sustain, right? Like, if all things went considerably well.
So, what do you mean? Sorry,
Like,
say it again?
the beginning of last year, it didn't seem like something that was something super unsustainable, right? If all things went considerably well.
I think the difference is, like, Brunson's just healthy.
Yes, completely.
Like, he's healthy. I think we have more data to make us feel safe and good about, like.
And I guess these upcoming games against tougher teams will kind of test my theory there within itself, because, like, I want to see how this, like, looks against, like, tougher opponents, against, like, this upcoming stretch that we have, or alleged tougher opponents with, like, the Bucks, the Cavs, the Hawks, Sixers, Nets, T-Wolves, that stretch that we have coming up. I mean, a lot of these teams, they haven't looked good to start the year, so it might be a good time to catch them. But I do want to see how we look against some of these teams that are supposed to be allegedly better than us.
Yeah. We have more data and evidence now that, like, guys like Quickly and Obi, like, we kind of have a better understanding of what their impact and value is.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't know, it's just the vibe's so different. I was like, I said something last year in preseason. I remember I felt like an asshole for saying it, but I was like, I'm a little bit worried about this defense. Like, our defense seems not good right now. I know it's preseason and guys aren't trying, but, like, that was, like, not great. And there were just signs early on that there was, like, weird stuff going on. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, we had that near meltdown in that game against Chicago early in the season. And then the next game we played was at New Orleans, and Julius was just, like, atrocious. Didn't try. We got bailed out because RJ was on fire that night.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there were just signs early on that that team was, like, not all, something was off.
I pointed those signs out, and people called me, like, a negative Nancy and shit like that. It was just like, yo, I'm just, like, telling you what I see. Like, And then when it all came to fruition, everyone was like, okay, like, but yeah, I see what you're saying, Twin. Because I was
Yeah,
right there. I saw it too.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's just
It feels different this year.
yeah. I mean, just a very basic thing, right? So last year the Knicks they beat the Celtics in the opener.
Hmm.
They whooped Orlando the next game, and then they lost that game at home to Orlando on it was like a Sunday night or Monday night or something.
Sunday for sure.
Yeah, uh, and it was just like such a deflating loss because you were like, why the hell? Like, how did this just happen? Like, we
Yeah.
just beat this team by like 7 billion points. Like, this should not be happening. Um, I feel like we lost our opener this year to Memphis in a game. Personally, me and Jeff we did the pod after that, but like I thought that was entirely bullshit. Like we got a terrible whistle that game,
For sure.
but they competed. It was a weird night. I mean, RJ was terrible. IQ was not good offensively. Like, and yet you're there at the end of that game. You could have won that game. It felt like every 50-50 ball went their way too. It was just a bizarre, weird opening game, and the Knicks were right there. They almost won that, despite not having great contributions from a lot of guys. Absolutely destroyed Detroit. Like, just handled business, right? And tonight, like, I don't know what the spread was. I'm almost 1,000% sure the Knicks would have covered whatever it was tonight. And
I
like,
think it was like at minus 7.
It was 7.5.
yeah. So the
7.5,
Knicks,
something
like,
like that.
this is why, like, it's hard to put away teams in the NBA. It is
Mhm.
hard to win by double digits. It is hard to have 20 minutes of garbage time or whatever. Like, you're not just gonna beat the crap out of every single team. It's just not. It's not possible. These teams are too good. Orlando is super talented, man. Paolo, he's gonna be a star. Franz is on his way to being a star as well, in my opinion. Wendell Carter Jr. can play. Like, they've got talent. They've got guys that are going to become better players in their career than they are today.
Mhm.
This is a talented team. The Knicks handled business against them. Was it great? Was it perfect? Was it beautiful? Not necessarily.
It's not
But
going to be because it's in
yeah.
the beginning of the season.
yeah, but they worked the margins. They beat them when it mattered. They took advantage in the second half. They capitalized on them, and that's what you have to do. And they did it, and they handled it. And it was not like fluky nonsense. It was it was not perfect, but they took care of it when they needed to. I'm a little bit worried about the defense of the starters is going to be a problem. The Fournier Brunson thing is just not.
It's not sustainable.
It's mostly just Fournier, to be honest, and I really don't like singling him out. But like, his defense is just palpably, it's a problem.
It sticks out the most.
Yeah. So I'm worried about the starting group a little bit, just because I feel pretty strongly that's going to end up being at best a neutral, maybe even a negative. But like, overall, things seem pretty good right now.
So, question for you both. Do you think we all agree about Fournier? And I think we all agree that it would be in the Knicks' best interest to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that right now Tibbs in his mind is like, I'm going to go to Grimes? Or do you think that it's going to take something for him to make that decision?
I think based on past evidence, I would say it's the latter. But I mean, from what we've seen recently in terms of like just that preseason game alone, that encourages me that it's going to be the former.
Schwinn,
Can you repeat that again?
do you think that Tibbs already has it in his mind that Grimes is going to be the starter, or do you think it will take something from Fournier to be usurped? And if so, what do you think it will take to get Tibbs to make that decision?
Well, look, Tibbs has turned over a new leaf. He's a new man. I kind of do. I kind of do think he has it in his mind that he wants Grimes to start. I don't know what happened. Look, we don't know what happened last year with a lot of stuff, right? It was a weird year. Tibbs did not cover himself in glory. He did not have a great coaching year. I do buy. I the way he shows it is crazy, but like, I do buy that he genuinely like really likes these kids that we have, and that he believes in them and he has faith in them. Like, I buy that. I just think it's hard for him to then adjust his rotations accordingly. and give them the roles that they probably deserve on this team. But I feel like I think he loves quickly. I think he loves quickly. I think he loves Obi, and I think he loves Grimes. Like I think Grimes is good. He's gonna play. There's no doubt in my mind he's gonna play. Um, Tibbs has a weird way of showing his love, which we all know.
Yes.
But like, I think he's gonna play, man. I don't know if it's gonna be a starter. I don't know if it's gonna be a situation where, like you mentioned, maybe Rose becomes situational. He's gonna play though, man. I'm sorry, like, and at the end of the day, he wasn't actually untouchable in the Donovan Mitchell trade. This is obvious, but if you valued him the way it seems like the Knicks valued him in that trade, in those trade talks, he's got to play.
Yes.
There's just, it doesn't matter. Like I know that Tibbs is gonna do what Tibbs wants to do. He's playing him, bro. Like there's no doubt in my mind he's playing him. And I think he wants to play him. I think he likes Grimes. Like I don't doubt that for a second. So yeah, I don't know if it's a starter or whatever, but like he's gonna play a role and he's gonna be in the rotation the second that he's medically cleared to do so. He's by the way, I completely don't buy that he's not capable of playing right now.
I mean,
he's definitely capable of playing right now.
He looked great in that last preseason game. I mean, in terms of like movement and whatnot. I don't understand what happened between then and the season opener.
There's just what did they?
Politics.
I think Begley said something like, "Oh, they're going to exercise caution, extreme caution," and I'm like, "Yeah, they just want to make sure that Cam gets a shot here." That's what I'm thinking.
Speaking of like our young guys in general, I wish you could take whatever it is Obi has like in his brain. I don't know if you guys saw, but like a video just went viral of him interviewing RJ in the locker room after tonight's game. Is he the only person in the NBA that would play a good 14 minutes, probably feel like he should play more, but somehow put that out of his mind and be like, let's just celebrate this win, Like he just has such a good attitude. It's just so nice having him on the team. I don't know. Like I feel like him and Quickly have both just been such good Knicks. In terms of like what they should.
They are. I feel like they both positive. They are endless positive vibes right there.
Yeah.
They're kind of making up for what we were lacking in Theo Pinson last year in vibes.
That could be it.
There was actually a pretty cool moment with Quickly at the end of the third quarter. He was like, or no, sorry, it was the end of the first half, I think. But he was on the bench and he was like, it was a sideline out of bounds play, and he was talking to somebody to like point out to them where they needed to be because of like what the Magic were about to run out of the timeout or on the set play. But it was like, I just thought it was interesting because it's like you mentioned, like those are the small things. It could have been anybody, right? It could have been Deuce, it could have been Rose. It doesn't matter. Sure, you'd see a bunch of this stuff, but it's like that's usually the sign that like a team is locked in collectively when you see stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Similar when IQ had that turnover to Obi because Obi cut and IQ thought he was going to space the floor, and they just sort of stood together and talked it out. And you saw that on the court. They just seemed to have really good chemistry, in my opinion.
Yep. I think that's where we're going to end things off. Shout out to everyone that tuned in, left a comment or a question. If we didn't get to it, I deeply apologize. There was a lot to discuss tonight, as you saw and heard. Make sure you guys subscribe. We are on our way to 1K. We just recently surpassed 400 subscribers. So shout out to everyone that's subbing. Make sure y'all leave a like. Check out everything Strickland related in the description. We got links to the site, the merch, Patreon, Twitter. Make sure y'all following us there. And I think that's all we have for tonight. We will be back on Wednesday night after the Charlotte game to recap and discuss that game. Hopefully another Knicks win versus a hobbling Charlotte team. Till then, we are out. Peace.